Hello, aló, hello, hola. How are we doing today? ¿Cómo estamos? Hello, everyone. I hope everyone can hear us. We're back for another week of Black Women Disrupt Summer Series Live. Resistance, resilience, and innovation. Hello to all of our sister disruptors and friends. We're going to wait for a few more people to come on. Thank you so much for joining us live. And for those of you on the replay, we just love you so much. We thank you for taking the time when you can to be with us and to join other sister disruptors around the world. Today's session is going to be conducted in English, but our special guest today also speaks Portuguese, and we're going to toss in a few terms here and there. Don't get discouraged. Hang with us. If you have a special question, se você tiver uma pergunta em português, or si tienes una pregunta en español, if you have a question for Falani Afrika in Portuguese, Spanish, or English, we're going to answer you. We'll stay around until we get your question answered. Please don't forget to leave your question in the chat below. Don't forget to do all the things you're supposed to do. Subscribe if you're on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe, on YouTube. And we'll hope to have more conversation about what we're going to talk about today. So at Black Women Disrupt, we're connecting with sister disruptors in 2020 in a whole new way. Actually, tomorrow is our birthday, so we're getting super excited about that. We are still committed to inspire, challenge, co-create, and transform the societies in which we live by working with businesses and social enterprises led by Black women in the Americas and around the world. However, in these special times, we're going to be curating more intimate conversations with sister disruptors and bringing their voices straight to you over the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned for even more opportunities and ways that we're going to grow and connect together. We want to explore life after a pivot. We want to learn lessons from sisters who are doing this, living in this moment, just like us right now. Women around the world who can help us reconnect with our purpose, with ourselves, to our brilliance and our own missions. Women who remind us that the struggle is not over, that we have so much more we will and can do to support our families, to face challenging times, build, grow, and build again. We're going to answer a couple more of your questions. We've been asked by friends already in the chat and colleagues what they can do to support our work. Well, we feel at Black Women Disrupt that there are all sorts of ways that you can support Black women entrepreneurs. We've identified 3 quick and easy ways to show some solidarity and support every day, not just on a special occasion, not just in a special holiday mood. Number 1, buy from Black women-owned businesses. Support Black women-owned businesses. Number 2, fund Black women-led organizations. Budgets matter, money matters, and our ability to manage our own resources matter. So please support and invest in our communities. We'll leave you some links to ways that you can support Black Women Disrupt by buying t-shirts or other swag or donate to support this effort. But remember, follow a sister's lead too. Show us some love and let us tell you how you can support us better. All right. We've finished what our team likes to call my church announcements. I don't know why we have to call them church announcements. That's not what I'm doing. I just want to make sure we're staying connected and we're all here together. Tudo bem. We're going to mix it up. Maybe some of our language is going to be in Portuguese or in English. Let us know if you're watching. Post down below a question for Falani Afrika. And let me introduce her. Here she is. She's joined us. Falani Afrika, is a producer. Hey, Falani, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm gonna read your bio because honestly, it's beautiful. I love how you've put it all together, and I think we're going to be able to have an interesting conversation about all the pieces of you. Is that all right?
Yes. That's
cool. So Falani is a producer, director, educator and creative, and an aspiring farmer. She was born and raised in Washington, D.C., formerly known as Chocolate City, one of my favorite places on earth. At Howard University, HU, she
You know.
obtained she obtained a bachelor's of arts in political science. Her initial interest was in law. However, she picked up the interest in documentary film while studying abroad her junior year at Howard University while she was in Ghana. Falani has traveled to Brazil, Ghana, Jamaica, South Africa, Trinidad and Tobago, and doing all of this while working on independent film projects. She's a former social studies teacher. She enjoys working with youth as an arts educator. Her international award-winning documentary, Maestrina da Favela, is the first feature-length film that Falani has ever produced. Currently, she is working with the Kwame Ture Foundation as the organization's public outreach specialist. Falani loves sustainable gardening. We're going to have to talk about food as resistance, girl. And plants organic vegetables from seed in her pastime. And I just really want to thank you for joining us today, Falani. I've been following your work. You didn't know that, but I was checking you out. And I just said, we have to have her on. I really want to learn more about her journey. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, and I'd like to say happy second birthday to Black Women Disrupt.
Thank you.
I love it because I'm calm, but I'm disruptive. So thank you so much for starting an organization that honors disruptive Black women, this disrupting in a positive manner.
Yes.
So thank you so much. Thank you for following my work and reaching out to do this.
Yes.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. And I'm hoping that those who are also with us will have some questions and some comments for you too. We'll bring them in shortly. As you know, Black Women Disrupt supports Black women entrepreneurs. And many times our creatives don't see themselves as entrepreneurs, but we know that's how we make a living, right? So I have some questions for you as a creative and an entrepreneur.
Okay.
All right. So first, when did you know you were an entrepreneur?
I would say like at around 7.
Okay.
Because growing up, in DC, we had a lot of Black businesses and a lot of exposure. So, and my mom is an entrepreneur. My dad is an entrepreneur. I grew up around a lot of entrepreneurs, So I started selling cupcakes for 50 cents,
Oh,
When I was 7, me and my sister would bake cupcakes. So I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. And then I remember in the 5th grade, I went to West Elementary, and we actually had an entrepreneurship class. This brother named Ali Khan, he had a cookie company, and he would come to the school to talk about entrepreneurship. And on Saturdays, we could go and help bake cookies and sell them. And it was really good because even after the class, he gave us like $50 gift cards to use at a Black-owned business. It was DDTP at the time.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was just really great. And sometimes I look back on those things, because when you're a kid, you're in the midst of it. But I'm like, wow, entrepreneurship has really been, driven into me, all my life. So I discovered I was an entrepreneur early. Like, I have like community events during Kwanzaa time where me and my sisters would make bath salts. Like, it was all about, pushing our own products.
Yes, cooperative economics and getting all of that. We have a lot more we need to talk about. I'm sure we'll talk about it here, but maybe we'll keep talking later because I also was a Kwanzaa child. I'm a Kwanzaa adult too. Yes. So what's been your proudest achievement on this journey? As you've been moving through this process of both being an artist, but also being an entrepreneur, what has been the moment that's made you most proud?
I would say my proudest moment is really being able to travel throughout the diaspora and really learn from our people, because like my grandmother, I don't think she's ever been on a plane. So it's like, to be able to access resources and travel and do things that our grandparents and some of our parents haven't even, been able to do this type of international travel. So for me, I would say that's the proudest moments when I can go to Ghana or go to Brazil, take a picture, film some stuff and come home, go to the country in North Carolina and share with my family, about Black people all over the world and share them images that they probably, would never see on, TV or see in person. So that's like one of my proudest things. And also just growing food and being able to take some to my grandparents. I really like the simple things. So yeah, I'm just really proud to be a Pan-Africanist and to travel and not just say, oh, I'm a Pan-Africanist and be like just stuck in this mindset and not really living Pan-Africanism. Like Marcus Garvey paved the way. But, he did all that work and he never made a trip to Africa. So
Isn't
when
that amazing? That to
it's
me
amazing,
is just amazing.
So for me, I just really try to honor those before us who wanted us to really make those connections, but they wasn't able to, make those connections themselves. So I just love our people. I like to travel where we are because I like our foods and all of that. So that's my proudest accomplishment, really just living up to my name. And
What does your name mean, Falani? What does your
well,
name
I
mean?
was named after the Fulani tribe, which
Mm-hmm.
is the largest nomadic tribe in the world. But my parents put an A instead of the U, and then they put my middle name, Africa, and then my nickname is Byrd. So I think I was just destined to be like a nomad and travel and fly around. So yeah.
That's fantastic. And it's interesting how the naming of our children, the naming of ourselves, and figuring out what that means actually has an impact on the future adult. So I'm really proud of you too. That's an amazing story you're telling. And it just resonates with me too, because I felt the same way, bringing back stories, sharing with people how other people are living and doing and thriving where they are is just an amazing way to share what the
Right.
Black diaspora is about. Well, we're talking about the positive side, but also there are questions that I have about what challenges you're seeing. So we like in this community to call our social entrepreneurs, creators, and creatives and business owners sister disruptors.
Mm-hmm.
And from your perspective, from your vantage point, what are some challenges that sister disruptors are dealing with at this time?
Hmm. It's a lot of different challenges. We can all say funding is usually like a top priority, having the capital to start up and really fund our businesses. But um, for me, on a personal side, it's like with Black women disruptors, a lot of the times people are kind of threatened by Black women disruptors, it's just like sometimes we're too much, So in a way, I just feel like Black women disruptors have been kind of silenced and pushed to the side because when we do stuff or say things, it comes off as like this angry Black woman thing. And this I'm not just talking about this coming from an angle of other races. This is even within, our
Hmm.
race, even with some brothers. I work as a freelancer and as a camera operator in the audio visual industry with
Yeah.
the men, and so you can even see sometimes like I walk on a gig and I'm like, hi, I'm the camera operator. And they just looking at me like,
Where did you
you
fall
know,
from?
like a Black woman can't be a camera operator. So for me, it's Black women just kind of have it hard when you're intelligent, strong,
Yeah.
vocal, ambitious. It seems to be a threat to many. And like even with the police brutality, we talk about how things are against the Black man and how people fear the Black man so much, but we don't talk about the fear of the strong Black woman, and the Black
Mm.
disruptors. So just thinking about like people like Sojourner Truth,
Yeah.
during her time, how she had to come through, off the ain't I a woman tip. So it's
Right.
just like, yeah, so Black women disruptors have been kind of pushed to the side. But that's why I love your organization, because
Aww.
it honors those rebels. You know what I'm saying? Because we
Yeah.
as women have been kind of taught to be submissive, meek, and stuff like that. So I
Flexible.
love your honoring disruptors, because
Yes.
we need support.
It's definitely a way for us to throw that term on its head, right? For us, it's been so important to really just say, why is it okay for some people to be disruptive or to be a disruptive force in a market or in innovation? But the things that Black women have been doing since we've been making a way out of no way has been disruption too. It has
Right.
been resistance. And often we're not tapping into the innovation which comes from us, that comes
Right.
from our experiences, that comes from our ancestors, and that comes from what we've been through all of these years to get to where we are now. And
Right.
when people laugh and they're like, oh, they eat okra, or oh, I'm like, what they didn't know is that was filled with nutrients.
Right.
And
Right.
that's how we stayed who we are, and that's how we remain strong all these decades and centuries. So
Centuries.
yeah, right. Um, so actually, that's a perfect segue into our next question, which is about innovation. And I'm gonna ask you what you think innovation is, and what role does innovation play in your work? And then the third question will be, why is it important to think globally as you build and create?
Okay, for me, innovation is what, like I said, we've been doing from the beginning of time. Innovation is working with the resources around you to create something. So that's what innovation for me is. Sometimes people sit and think like you got to come up with some super genius thing. You could have found an innovative way to stage a photo, an innovative way to cook your meal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
An innovative way to train your plant to grow a different way. So innovation can come in so many different ways. I don't. When I move, I'm not like trying to move and do stuff like how can this be innovative, because I know
Right.
I'm putting it together and innovating it. So
It's about
uh,
creation, right?
that's right.
Like you got to do it. How is it going to get done?
Right.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's what innovation is. And the second question is why is to
Why
think.
is it important? Why, oh, the second one was what role does innovation play in your work?
Mhm.
So you just describe what it is to you. When you're working, how do you employ that? What do you do? Or how are you doing it?
With what work in particular, because I do kind of a lot of different things. That's
Yes,
why I'm
ma'am.
trying to be a little broad about being
Yes.
innovative in different aspects.
So take us wherever you'd like to take us. If it's in filmmaking, take us there. If it's in gardening and being a farmer, take us there.
Okay, I'll just touch on farming because that's something that I've been delving into
Okay.
a lot. Um, for instance, like I never grew cucumbers before, but this is my first year. So I realized that I think some raccoons or something was like getting at them. So I needed to find a way to trellis them up. So
Mm,
I became innovative and built a trellis system. I'm sure it's been done before, but I didn't even look on YouTube or Pinterest
right.
to see what's what. I just used my mind and used the sticks that I had and created an innovative way. And the next time I went to the garden, the plant, I had trained the plant to go up and I had like 4 cucumbers. So
Oh, that's amazing.
innovation can come in different ways. I don't sit around like, oh, I'm coming up with something innovative or I'm about to do something innovative. I feel like we as Black people, most of the work we do is innovative because we're working with what's around us to create something. And a
Yeah,
lot of the times those resources, are limited. So yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And why is it important to think globally as you build and create? Because what caught my interest when I first saw your work was the film that you did. And maybe, yeah, if you could tell us what led you to that moment. Why was it important to be thinking globally and doing that kind of work?
Yep. So I think I spoke a little bit about, my upbringing was very Pan Africanist, and I was exposed, and DC was just like an epic center for not only blackness but just pan-Africanism, because I grew up around people from the Caribbean, you know, like it wasn't just, I didn't grow up just thinking like us just African Americans went through slavery and this is just like one single struggle, you know. So I've always kind of grown up in a diasporic environment. So for
Yeah.
me, traveling and globalism was just kind of natural. And I took my first trip overseas at 17, and to Jamaica, and that trip was so mystic and so amazing. And so from there, I just kept traveling. Because I mean, we got to become global. We can't, this fight can't just be with us here. It's
Mm-hmm.
close to 89, 90 million Black people in Brazil. They've kept
Mm-hmm.
they've kept those facts away from us. And it's a reason, because they really don't want us to globally unite. But if we keep trying to fight these battles individually, we're going to lose. So, you know, we have to come together globally. We're all facing the same things wherever we are in the world, you know. So, I
Absolutely.
mean, for me, global is the only way.
All right. I hear you. Say it again for the people in the back who don't know
Global is
that.
the only way.
Global is the only way. So,
Mhm.
what advice would you give sister disruptors who are trying to build something, do something, create a business, or create an organization? What kind of advice would you give them as they're starting out?
I would say, you know, really hone in and focus and follow it is what you want to do, and do it. Just do, you know, if you can't, even if you may not have all the resources needed to get things off the ground, if you work, even if it's an hour or 2 hours every day, a couple of times a week towards a project or organization or a goal you want, we can do it. Sometimes, even myself, I feel limited, like, oh, I want to do this, but I don't have the equipment. I want to do this, I don't have the gear. But it's like, I can use my cell phone.
Yes, you
Just
can.
do it, you know. So it's really about just using what you have, you know, to do it. And even like with my film, I had started off with just, you know, me, the camera, and Ellie, the young lady in my film. And it was just like, okay, I'm doing it, but what am I really doing, you
Love
know? But
it.
when people started to see what I was doing, I gained
Mm,
more support because I had already started to do the
yes.
work. Sometimes people want support, but it's like,
They
if they're
just got it.
on something, that they're reluctant to, you know, maybe invest in and do the work. So I gained the support of other Black women filmmakers, to finish my film project, because they saw what the young lady was doing in my film. She doesn't have resources to keep her band afloat and
Yeah.
keep those children engaged, but she still does it. She doesn't
Yes.
get support from the government, but she finds a way. So I started to say, if she could keep doing this work that she started at 8 years old, I can finish a film on her, because I had way more resources. So it took a while, but it's like, so it was a paid, what they say, pay it forward
Yeah.
project,
Yeah.
where I kept going back to film the young lady because I saw what she was doing without support, and she was doing it. And then a fellow filmmaker saw what I was doing. They said, "Oh, she could use support in making this film. So let me support her." And then it just trickled down all the way down to the editor. The whole team was Black women. It was very rare.
Right.
Somebody can say they made an international documentary with the resources of Black women. You know what I'm saying? I never got no big grant. The credits are my community, family, and friends. Like my mom, we did fish fries. My sisters, all of us, we came together. So it's really about, you know, collective work and responsibility, and pulling the resources together that we have. And I would advise people to use their networks.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think, okay, you may not have the capital, but one of your friends probably have something that you could use.
Yeah.
Maybe you got something they can use. And we got to go back to the basics of bartering and really help
Bartering.
out. So,
Yes.
yeah.
I love that. That's some of the best advice I've heard. And I think it just rings so true. In these days, people want instant gratification. They feel like it's just going to fall from the sky. I'm going to go viral. I'm going to be discovered. I'm going to have all these things. But work is work. And even if that work is not paid work or the typical or traditional work, putting in that labor, there will be fruit. I agree. And I wanted you to tell us a little bit about what Maestrina da Favela is, just so people can get a little bit of understanding, and then tell them where they can find it or see it, where, how they can access it.
So Maestrina da Favela, which translates into English as like kind of like little conductor or little maestro, but the feminine version of the slum. I don't really like that term slum, but favela, when you translate it to English, I would just kind of use ghetto. I don't know if I'm a big fan of that.
Me neither, but comunidad still doesn't
comunidad. And so in 2006, my senior year, I met a Brazilian exchange student through another mutual Brazilian friend. And her name was Rosanna. She didn't speak any English. She was going to Howard for a semester. So I was like, oh, like, let's hang out. So I started, even though she didn't speak English, it was just like, she needed some support. She never left her country, probably let alone her city. So she didn't have winter clothes. It was super cold, so I was just like, girl, hang with me, like, and so I helped her learn her English. And even though we didn't speak the same language, there was a bond. It was like a kinship. And so it was just like, wow, I didn't even really know about Afro-Brazilians, to be honest, even though I did grow up in in a diasporic way. I didn't know about Afro-Brazilians. We know about Caribbeans and stuff like that, but we don't touch on African descendants, and Latin American countries and things in South America. So in any event, she invited me to come visit her, and I love to travel. Like I said, I've been internationally traveling since 17. So when people invite me, I buy the ticket and go. I'm not one of those that for years just like, oh, I'll go this year or next year. Like, no. So I graduated and I bought my ticket, and I was like, well, I'm going to go in the wintertime when it's cold here. So she said, November is a good month. It's Black Consciousness Month. It'd be great for you to come, bring your camera, and boom. So I went down there just to kind of really check it out. And I was kind of documenting, really, of course, to kind of share with my family and friends. But on the very first night, Rosanna was like, I'm going to take you to this community. She was like, it's like it was the historic district and like the first capital of Brazil, the first colonial capital of Brazil. But she was like, and for a while, we were living and inhabiting these homes, but it's been under the process of, they don't use gentrification, they say revitalization.
Revitalization, yes.
So it's like, so take your shower, we're going to go to dinner, boom. So we walking through, and I was like, this is interesting, because it kind of felt like maybe coming to like DC, like the Georgetown area, but it was still Black, like Georgetown was still Black. I wasn't born when that happened, but I could imagine, and so we walked, and she said, it's one more community that's been resisting the revitalization thing, and she was like, let's go back there. So we was in a pillow, and then we walked through this little cut, and back there it was like
a whole
little So it was this nice lady back there, and she had a little shop where she sold food, the beans and the rice, just like their everyday meals. And she was so sweet. It was like meeting an auntie again. I didn't know any Portuguese or anything. And so this lady, it was like her smile and spirit. She was just sweet. So I was there for like 3 weeks, and I was about to leave. And I said, hey, I want to go tell Dona Nilzetti goodbye, And I went back there, and there was a little girl sitting at the table. And I had on a Bob Marley shirt that said, is this love that I'm feeling? And she was trying to read it. She was like, Izzy, Dissy, Lovey. And I was like, oh my gosh, you speak English? Because I was low-key kind of starting to think like the typical American. I didn't speak Portuguese, and it was kind of frustrating to be there and not really be able to understand the laughs and see what was things was hitting on. So when she said the little English, I said, "Girl, you speak English?" So she was like, "A little bit." And so I realized, I said, "Wow, I've been here a month, but I haven't been inside to film a community." So I said, "I'm leaving in 2 days, but I said, if I come tomorrow morning, can you show me around your community? I'm gonna bring my camera." And she was like, "Yeah." So then Donna Nizuchi came back out and she was like, "That's my daughter." And I was like, "Oh, that's your daughter?" And I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, she's
nice.
so sweet." I said, "She's gonna show me around tomorrow." And so she
That's
was like, "Okay."
wonderful.
So the next morning, Rosanna and I got up early. We went back there with my camera and we went back there. And this little girl started pulling the drums down and gathering the kids. So me and Rosanna kind of was like, "What's going on?" So we just let it play out. And so she started conducting them. They had like a makeshift stage and stuff. So I was like, I thought I was coming to get a tour, but she's putting on a show. Like, this little girl's pretty practical. She like, "Oh, they bringing the camera, are they?"
I got a
So
song for you.
yeah, so I got something for you. So I was like, "Dang, look at this little boss girl." Because it was all boys she was directing and conducting. So they started hitting the drum, girl, and the music is very similar to go-go. I've traveled a lot. I've never heard a music this similar to go-go when it comes to the drum percussions and the repetitions. So I was like, "Oh," so I'm just filming that. So I was like, "Rosanna, we gotta sit down and talk to her and let's ask her some questions." So I had a set of questions that I had been asking, people that I was kind of talking to on a fly down there.
Yeah.
These questions I was asking, it's a lot of Black intellectuals in Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
They was when we set this 13-year-old down, like I said, I still didn't know Portuguese. I had Rosanna asking her the questions. She was answering these things with so much wisdom. Like, you can see it in her eyes. And I was like, this little girl she's not normal, So I was like, "Oh my God, when I'm
Special.
leaving in the morning, why didn't I meet her before? I could have been back,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyways, I came back home and I was like, that's a good film. That'd be a nice documentary. So, and I
Oh,
love the
yeah.
place anyway. So I use that as an excuse to keep going back.
Love
And
it.
so that's how the project, started. And it became really like a sisterhood because I wasn't no big filmmaker. And her mother and family, they took me in, and they never
Oh,
looked at me like this American coming down here to do a film. So,
right.
yeah, that's my family now. So I've learned so much, from them. I never treated her as just like this subject. And
Right.
it was even ethical times where some of my crew wanted to film this and do that because people think in an American way and they want to see what America keeps putting on TV.
Right.
Yeah, I can't force certain stuff. That's really not the reality. It's not just guns and violence and favelas. It's other positive things. We
Yeah.
don't have to keep showing the same narrative. Matter of fact, that's what I'm trying to change is that it's not just guns and drugs in there. Let's show how everyday people are working positively to make a change. She was 8 years old when she created that band. I met her at 13. And over the course of 10 years, now I didn't go back every year for 10 years, but over the course, I made about 7 to 8 trips and I filmed her journey from 13 to 23.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
so that's an innovative documentary because I've Googled it. I haven't really seen anything. It's a film, but it's fictional out there called Boyhood or something.
I
Where they
think that's
keep
the
the
only other one
actor.
I've heard of. Yeah.
But that's not a documentary. Again, that's a film. So I would say my film is innovative in that way. I haven't released
Yeah.
the US yet. It
Mm-hmm.
has been out in Brazil. Actually, soon for our Brazilian followers.
Mm-hmm.
It will be on TVE soon. Public TV is kind of like our equivalent to PBS. So
Yeah.
that the film can really reach the audience that it's intended. I made this film for it to reach the common child so they can know you can make change in your community.
I
Even
love that.
if it's not, assistance. This young lady picked up where she could and the band started growing more instruments.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Thank you for sharing that because I think you have in this community, so much support. People will want to see how you move and grow with both that project and future projects too. But with all the things that you're doing, all the ways that you are creating, how do you balance those things as a creative, an entrepreneur, an activist? What centers you? What grounds you?
That's why I do the gardening and farming, literally to bring me back and center me, because I do as a freelancer, I can do a lot. Maybe 1 month camera off gigs is popping. Then
Yeah,
that may fall off, and then there's space for me to do creative stuff.
yeah,
Sometimes I want to make jewelry, I do that kind of, during my idle time. But I'll have all the beads in front of me and the color, but nothing can come to me.
yeah,
And I'm like, okay, I can't really create right. I'm not in the space to create. Let me hit the garden. Then you get into the garden and you get there, and then you may see a plant that inspire you to make an earring. So it's just really, it's about keeping that balance. That's why I enjoy being a freelancer and really not working for anyone else, because I'm able to provide and balance my life the way I want it. I don't have to be committed. If I get a call for a gig, I can say no. If I want, I can say yes.
say word.
I'm only committed to myself. So
Yeah,
that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur and a freelancer. I've
yeah,
been sustaining myself as a freelancer. I realized that, like, when I was in college, corporate America is not for me. I worked corporate America from like 17 to 20, maybe 21. I
yeah,
realized it's not for me. It's
yeah.
years I've been able to sustain myself, as an entrepreneur and freelancer. My thing is just really trying to hone in on the business aspects, because I'm
Mhm.
such a creative. I'm
Yeah.
not as organized, on a business aspect. So, yeah,
We're here
that's.
for you, Falani. We're here for you. Let us know how we can help you.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Um,
yeah.
well, that's wonderful. Being close to the earth, being close to the garden centers you. But we're in some times that are extremely difficult. And one of the things that we've been dealing with, pondering, really trying to tease out for ourselves as a community is, how do we pivot? How do we adapt? How do
Mhm.
we shift gears
Mhm.
and reconnect? And I, I'd ask you, like, what have you been doing during this time differently than what you've done before? You said you've been maintaining yourself as and
To
sustaining
be
your life.
honest, it's not that much different, because I
Okay.
mean, due to gentrification, I've already become socially distant. This whole social distant term for me, I've
Mm,
been like this for several years. So
hmm.
that hasn't even really affected my life. In terms of, because I'm a freelancer and an entrepreneur, I have to come up with innovative ways to make money on a regular outside of COVID. So for me, this is how my life is. Like, okay, what's the next move? So
Right.
for me, actually, COVID has been a blessing in a way. And the knock,
Mm,
I know it's a virus, but in terms of like the reliefs and grants and stuff that's out there,
yeah.
I've been able to really still sustain myself without even having to go to a gig,
That's really
because they
amazing.
know, like the gig economy. I don't know when that economy would come back. The audio visual with the conferences and stuff, that type of stuff, it may
Yeah.
take a couple of years. So it's just like,
Yeah.
so what's the next move? So I do have a really, really exciting endeavor that I can't share tonight, but it's coming soon. So all of the folks that's following, if y'all follow the Bird's Nest page, I'll
Okay.
drop that soon, because
I
it's
think
something
we
that
have
our
it.
people really, really needs. It's a product that can be used. It's cross generational.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's important. So
Wonderful.
I want y'all to follow and keep up with that, because, like I said, it's in the works. I haven't, I can't share it yet, but it's on the way.
Yes.
I want y'all to stay tuned, because it's about finding your lane in the way and providing something that our people need at the end of the day. What is it that our people need? Some people come up with stuff, it's already been done before. Do something new. come up with something. It's a demand for a lot of things now.
Yeah.
Provide one of the products. You know what I'm saying? Figure out what you can do.
We are streaming across our screen the ways that people can get in touch with you for the different things that you're doing.
Yes.
So that folks can, whether they are watching live with us right now, we have a group of folks who watch on the replay from different countries, as far away as Uruguay and South Africa, Qatar.
Right.
So, you know, we'll see what the response will be, but I love that you have something in the works. We have something in the works too. We'll be calling you back. Don't worry. We got some stuff happening in your neck of what you've been working in. And I'm hopeful. Yeah, I'm hopeful we'll be able to connect on that. It'll be really interesting.
Okay.
So you've been answering and dancing around this question a little. I'm going to ask you, what can the African diaspora, people of African descent, do to strengthen our relationships across borders? I think you've already said some of those things, but if we were intentional about it, what would we do?
You know what's the beauty of today's time is social media.
Yeah.
We don't even have to, I mean, come on. You see this person all over the country, you can just inbox.
Yeah.
To the point where I was in, like, the last trip that I did in El Salvador was like 2 years ago. What I love about over there, people get together. Like this gathering that you're doing with Black Women Disrupt, this is regular practice for people. I have been invited to people just like, oh, I'm just having a group of women come over for dinner. Like, I just want everybody to network and see. And so that's regular practice over there. Yeah. So I remember going to a piece, and one of the sisters was like, I just remember seeing like two of the women. I'm like, oh, I know them from Instagram. And now I'm seeing them live. Not off no, like, I'm starstruck, but I'm like, oh. And in the conversation, they were talking about visibility and bridging gaps. And I said, hey, ladies, look, because they be thinking I'm Brazilian. I said, I'm not even from here, but guess what? I said, y'all work is effective because you're sitting trying to figure out how you can reach your audience. I said, before I met y'all in person, I've been following y'all on Instagram.
Isn't it amazing?
You know, I wanted to meet y'all anyway. And look how it happened organically. So it's like social media is the way, and we need to use it effectively.
Yeah.
It's no way. If Marcus Garvey did what he did, yeah, all the branches.
Limon, Costa Rica.
To be funny, I don't even know if telephones was out. I'm reaching. But still, the point is they didn't have half the tools that we have. Yeah. And he made moves. So it's really no excuse. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? David Walker's appeal. One of our great Pan-African fathers, he stitched his appeal into tailored suits. So they'll be shipped off and they'll reach people. If he could do it, I don't see why we would be making the connections through social media. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's an extension of the way even that we will use social media will be an extension of the way that we already do our culture. It won't be the way you prescribe it for us. WhatsApp is doing that, right? I know people right now who they don't know technology, but they know how to sell their stuff on WhatsApp. They're like, yeah, I don't even do, even sisters. And this is, you know, I'm not a proponent of people not being able to read and write, but there are sisters doing full blown business, complete business, using the WhatsApp feature that allows you to record your voice.
Wow.
I have these things for sale. Come to such and such place. We're going to, be out there. And it's transforming how people are doing business. And I think you're absolutely right. If we can expand our thoughts beyond just our next door and where we live, to imagine that our market or that our community is bigger than just where we are, the amount of opportunity that we have, the ability to co-create in ways that just don't happen because of proximity, are just doubled and tripled. Let me stop answering your question.
No, I love this. This is what it's about. in exchange, I didn't want to just get on and answer questions. We have to converse because you and I know, like I said, this is regular practice in Brazil. They have a lot of African and communal ways. Even I was shocked. Like I was shocked how they use WhatsApp. We missing a lot over here. Seriously.
Yeah.
My friend had a group on WhatsApp, and this is outside of business, but I was still amazed at this too, y'all.
Yeah.
It was a situation. It was a group for women. When you get on that group, they don't even know each other personally, but in this group, and they would get on there and share stuff. Oh, my boyfriend did this, or oh, I got some baby clothes, or oh, just support. Yeah. And I was like, this is free therapy. They don't even have to. They can get on this chat and share their story, and 50 women can come and say, oh, I'm here for you and this and that through WhatsApp. Yeah.
Yeah. It's rethinking what our community looks like. And actually, I think even Black Women Disrupt and what we're doing this summer with these dialogues is an extension of that. Yes. I started thinking, how can we talk about, we're in this time where I'm not going to get on a plane anytime soon. It ain't going to happen. Right. But how can I stay connected? And the things I've learned over the 23, 24 years that I've been working with Black women have sustained me. I don't want to stop having that connection because we can't jump on a plane and have a frank conversation. So that's why we're having these weekly sessions. That's why we're talking to one another, real talk, frank talk, sister talk, and just trying to figure out how we move forward, how we stay inspired by one another's work. And there's no hierarchy of work. So I'm not just like, I only interview the most, illustrious guests from only people. That's not how we're getting down. We want to know what your journey is because your journey is my journey. Right. And what you've learned, I can adapt and learn from. So I truly appreciate you being here and being just flexible with us and having this conversation. We have a few comments from folks who've been tuning in. Stephanie says hello.
Hi,
Stephanie. Sheila says, hey. Falani looks amazing. Her bio is very impressive. Now it might be maybe it's not Sheila. It might be somebody else. We don't know.
Okay. Thank you, Sheila, or whoever.
Leah. Yes, they give you.
Look at my boo. Hey, Shayla.
Leah says, will there be another screening in DC or the DMV area?
Hey, Leah, girl.
Yes, there was one before, but unfortunately she missed it. Are you going to screen this film again?
So that was really like a private screening. COVID came through. COVID did affect my life to some extent. It affected some beautiful works I had for the film. I'm still in talks with the Smithsonian Folk Life.
Yeah.
They looking at Northeast Brazil. So we was planning like a beautiful public screening and all of that, and then boom, COVID. So I've been trying to find ways. I could do the digital platform, but I still want to have a really nice community screening. The community helped me make this film.
Oh, it's beautiful.
All of the youth that I've taught over the years who know I've been working on this project, they need to see the film. So I don't want to just launch it online like that. You feel me? So
I feel you, but follow us.
Yeah, but it's coming. But I do want to have a traditional kind of regular screen. I guess we'll have to come up with a way. I don't know if we could do something outside. I'll figure it out. But before I put it online, I have to have an interpersonal, interactive screening. Yeah. So please be patient with me, y'all. I know y'all been waiting for years, a decade. Okay. You're really gonna like it. But it's still, for the U.S. release, it's still in the works, but it's coming. It's coming. It's still going to be very touching and impactful.
Okay. Let me see. What's next for your video practice? What you got going on?
Well, I tend to like to keep things a little bit on the low because I haven't even really touched on it yet, but I'm definitely, because film is interesting because it takes a lot to find financing to do a film per se. So I've been thinking, of creative ways, to still do my film and, art. I really love Zora Neale Hurston. I love going back to visit my family in North Carolina. So I'm actually about to take a trip. I'm about to buy me a camera so I can just film regular stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet, but it's something gonna be innovative. And
Well, we
yes.
don't doubt that. We don't doubt that. We'll be looking for it. It looks like you have a whole group of people. Now, somebody said mommy is so proud and happy for you, and I'm not going to put her on.
Mommy, thank you, Mom. Hey, Mom. Love you.
She came through.
Okay.
And let's see.
She
Sugar
loved that.
Aesthetics says Falani has always been awesome and been doing great work for the people. They love you, girl.
Mom.
They love you.
Thank you. That's my girl
Yeah.
from high school.
Oh,
Thank you.
sweet. That's wonderful. See, and lives can be so incredibly intimidating. The idea of just jumping on and who am I talking to and for what?
Yeah.
But reality is people do want to see and hear from you and from so many more of us who just are living our lives, but really inspiring people. And you just never know that you are an inspiration or that you're inspiring people. We have just a few more questions. Let me see, just to make sure we don't miss anybody on the chat. If you have any questions for Falani Afrika, put your question below and make sure to let us know what you think about what she's saying. If you have any questions or comments, we're happy to discuss. So I love to ask this one question. This is a bonus question. This is not particularly something that I always ask a guest, but I have to ask you, and we need to know, what are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you watching that's giving you life? And this is going to help us. Make sure you repeat it now. Make sure people can hear what you're saying, because we are going to curate a list of all the submissions that the different sister disruptors have given us.
So cool. I love that.
So we can listen to what we're all listening to. We can read what we're all reading. Yes.
Okay, so this summer I've been listening to TMR. She is a Haitian artist. I think she's Issa Rae's first signed artist for her record label.
Yeah.
It's a bop. I love TMR because she just keeps it 100. I love when you find artists that sing and say what you be wanting to say.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's been on heavy rotation. Shout out to TMR.
Hey.
What else? Masego just dropped some new little tunes, so I've been tapping into that. I always keep, some Afro beats in rotation. Tiwa Savage just dropped a song.
Yes.
Who else? I keep like Pandora and stuff on shuffle, because I like different types of musics and vibes. But I would say like my album, it's an EP of the summer is TMR, and yeah, I can't really recall off the top, but besides, like if I turn my thing on, I go to her right now this summer. So, ladies, get into it. It's a whole vibe.
Sounds wonderful. What are you reading, sis? What are you?
I've been just reading some light material. I found this. My brother found a book in the front of my elevator in the building, and I didn't even know about this book because I'm a big Tupac, very big lover of Tupac, all things Tupac. So I be thinking I know every book that came out, every film, but my brother walked in here with a book, and it's some letters that Tupac wrote to this lady that she just befriended him from jail, just off the humble. And these letters are so beautiful.
Really?
I can't remember the title of it. I got it in my bedroom, but it's just so sweet. It's just like very simple letters from jail, and he's so poetic because he didn't have any sexual relationships with this lady. He didn't even know her, so it's really just hearing from a brother. She didn't put. I don't think she put her letters in there. She just put in there.
His responses.
Yeah, it's just so sweet. So I'm just enjoying that, because growing up in D.C. during the crack epidemic, definitely had friends in jail, growing up, and so I just sometimes just like to just kind of keep things light. It's so much going on in the world.
Tell me.
So much heavy stuff. I have been delving into Ready for the Revolution, just really revisiting that
Mm-hmm.
with working with Kwame Tore's foundation. I want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that I'm abreast and, knowledgeable on Kwame Tore's life, and
Yeah.
um, what else? I really love Pinterest. I'm a visual
Okay.
person, so I just dragged in on that, from recipes to feng shui, and things. So
Okay.
to be honest, I haven't been diagnosed with ADD, but I to watch stuff for me is it's a bit of a lot. So I pretty much put on YouTube and put on music videos because I get so frustrated trying to find a film. By
Yeah.
the time I find one, it's like I spent 45 minutes looking for this. I'm almost sleepy.
Well, that's why
So
you had to make your own.
I want to see your list because I want to know what people are watching because I need to know.
We're gonna roll it out.
Okay.
We're collecting it. I think by the time we finish, it'll be the end of August when we have it.
Okay.
But it'll
Okay.
give you something to go into the fall with and allow people to kind of get a vibe. It might have been the summer, but maybe rekindle some stuff, recycle some stuff,
That's
get to
right.
life in a different way. And
Mhm.
one thing, one of my mentors told me when I was living in Brazil, um, you might have met her, Sueli Carneiro from Gilades. I remember we were sitting down. Yeah, I used to work at Gilades for a number of years. And she told me, we can't, we're militants, but we got to watch Novela das Oito. Like, I don't know who is being militant 100%
Militant,
of the
yeah, gotta be. Life is it's too much
time.
going
Too
on. Now,
short.
I would say my favorite novella ever was the Celia Cruz. That thing
Really?
was everything.
Okay, I'm
And
gonna have to watch it
Netflix,
because
it
I
had
did.
it on, but they took it off. It's like 70, 80 episodes. But my mother and I found that off the Humble. And when I mean to tell you, we were pulled in to the point where I was like, I didn't think that I could get addicted to a novella. Like, I mean, it was a marathon for 3 days. My mother and I, it was just like,
But
let's,
novellas do that.
yeah,
You be thinking to yourself like, I'm just gonna watch this,
right.
whatever. You be sucked in. It's so dramatic, so
Girl,
ridiculous, it's over the
and the
top.
Celia one is cool because it's Afro-Cuban greatness. So it's not it's us in it. So it's not just like it's like oh. So
Yes, I'll
ladies,
have
if
to
you
check
love
that out.
watching romances, we don't have a lot of good black ones. The latest that Omar Epstein was trash with Neil Long. I was
I didn't
disappointed
get to
because
see it. Don't
a
tell
bad
me.
because my thing is this. I just don't like to see cheesy black films and just I don't like to see resources wasted. Because
Mm,
I'm like, it's a lot of independent filmmakers that have really great scripts and all of
mm,
this that can use the funding and we can put out some good material and content that we can
mm.
relate to. And it's good.
Yeah,
It's like if you notice, every black couple film that's come out lately is either a psycho thing, some type of weird thriller. It's not giving Love Jones. That's one of my favorite
oh
films.
my goodness,
We
tell
need
me
to see
about it.
light romance.
Yes,
You know what
or
I'm
just
saying?
lose ourselves in the story of like their epic whatever,
Wonderland. You
Yes.
know, we
It's
deserve that.
we deserve it, and it's a part of why we distract ourselves with television or any of those things in the first place.
Anyway,
We want to
right?
lose ourselves in that moment and follow their story and feel
Mhm.
something and feel connected.
Yeah.
Girl, I feel like I've known you all my life. I
I
haven't. We can
know,
ready to
and I
start
know I
chatting.
haven't. We know each other on Facebook, but yeah, I feel like there's going to be more to come. I'm
Yeah.
just again so thankful for you reaching out. I know you've been following me, and I'm just so
Yes.
for work and just honored, that we ran across with each other. And so let's keep making these links with our brothers and sisters in Brazil. They have the largest population of African descendants outside of Nigeria. That
Yeah.
means countries in Africa, they have more places, more
Yeah.
African descendants in their country than other countries on the continent. So
Yes.
we got to really talk about those facts and make the connection.
Yeah.
We are not in this alone. I go to the same stuff I talk to my homegirls about here. I talk to
Yes.
my homegirls back in Brazil. It's the same thing. So
It's
let's make that
yeah.
bridge. it can be a barrier, but you can learn another language too. I never thought that I would be able to speak Portuguese. It sounded like Mandarin to me when I first heard it. Now I can speak it. Now they think I'm lying when I tell them I'm from here when I'm over there now. They like, oh, you just there. That's why your accent is off. You really from here. And I'm like, no. My friends cry and call me like, you not coming this year? It's gonna be so cold. Why would you do that to yourself? And I'm like, y'all don't realize I'm not from there.
Right.
I'm from here. And every time I come back, I gotta pick up the pieces again, like, okay, what's the next move? So I am setting up a foundation. I will be in both places soon.
Okay.
But right now, we gotta set up our businesses and foundations, and let's do this cross stuff, you know. Marcus Garvey,
we want to hear about it.
Bananas from Liberia, shipping bananas from Liberia to here, to our communities. If he could do that in his day, I don't see why we can't ship or order earrings, or the Brazilian can ship us some crystals, or you feel me? So we can really be built. So thank you so much.
No, this is everything. You touched on every bit of why we are doing this work. It's so important. It is about building something that is bigger than just where we are and imagining ourselves in a liberatory future. What does that look like? How can we be free? How can we be independent? How can we think of the things that we develop as strength and not as some sort of weakness, our own identity as a strength and not as some debility? Like, we come from and have been great. So, and come from greatness and have been great, and we are great. And so how do we just take what we have and, like you said, build and make ourselves even better than what we could imagine alone? So we do this together. I love you for coming. I appreciate you for taking your time out.
This organization, this work, and I'm even going to throw some more Black women disruptors your way, because the connections that I've made, I got sisters in Afro and Colombia. We need to make. One time I said, how can we help with the cause? They said, we just need visibility, get it out there. So connections have to be made. This work that you're doing is amazing. I'm glad that I was able to come and share with y'all.
Absolutely.
Thank you for everybody who joined. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to the list and us building more. We'll talk offline.
We can ready to do that, because for real, you're going to like what I have to say. I'm going to just bring us home. You have any last words, Falani, you want to let people know?
I just want to say thanks again for all who joined and follow. Y'all see the stuff going across. I want y'all to follow Bird's Nest. That's open. Follow the Kwame Ture Foundation. We have a back to school supply drive coming up for the community. We're going to be dropping off. We want to hit every quadrant in DC, a community, you know, where the kids, and at least try to supply 25 kids in each quadrant with supplies. So we about to do a little call for that. You can drop supplies or donate to our Cash App. So follow that. If y'all want to keep Pan-Africanism alive, this is the time. The leaders have paved the way. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Stop following Instagram personalities and these YouTube people. Study. The books are there. The stuff is on the internet. Kwame Ture, all these people, Marcus Garvey, they paved the way. Okay? Amy Ashwood Garvey, Marcus Garvey wife. It's sisters out there that paved the way. Let's study them. So that's all I want to say is thank you. And this honor.
Of course. Now, I just want to know if people like what they heard today. I sure hope they did. I hope that it touched something in them, inspired a conversation, made it possible to think a little bit differently about how they're building their business. Don't worry, y'all, because this is just the beginning. We're just, Falani, don't leave us. We're still talking.
I'm sorry. It's hot. I ain't realized my ear was not on. I thought I wasn't on. I'm like,
the announcements.
I'm back.
It's all right.
I hope
it's
the little extra was cute, because I didn't even know. But anyways, I'm back.
Adorable. I was just going to say, I was actually getting ready to let people know that our birthday is tomorrow. We're making 2 years of doing this work, of exchanging Before COVID, we were exchanging with sister disruptors from Brazil, from Colombia, from Peru, from Uruguay, from Angola, from South Africa, from all over the world. And we're going to have some birthday treats for people. So this is just to be, well, birthday treats. Y'all get to see what we'll post. We're going to have some more frank conversations about Black women in the Americas. Tomorrow, we have a special session with Yvette Modestin, originally from Panama, living in Boston. That'll be at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so East Coast time. Please don't miss it. Also, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the social media of our special guests. Falani Afrika has some things going across the bottom there that you should follow and like. And then don't forget to follow us as we go through the rest of this summer series live, where we're focusing on resistance, resilience, and innovation. And you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Black Women Disrupt, or on Twitter at Black W Disrupt. I don't know what happened to the women on Twitter. They took it out. Or follow our YouTube channel for the replay. Please, whatever you do, don't forget to give a shout out, post a picture, send some love to a sister disruptor in your life. You don't have to follow us, but follow someone, make their day a little bit brighter, highlight what they're doing, and then hashtag us. We want to also recognize them, recognize what they're doing, lend our support, and show that we are a community that cares and wants to see people grow and thrive. So I'm just so happy we were here today. Falani, thank you for joining us. We will see you soon. And y'all stay safe and stay home if you can. Take care. Bye-bye.